What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Halo Infinite, because this game still seems to be confusing a lot of us. It's now been 24 hours since the Xbox Game Showcase. Microsoft decided to take the stage and reveal the next generation of Halo, and people are still kind of baffled because the game seems a little bit like a dumpster fire. Now, not because of the gameplay itself, it seems like when it comes to the combat, the way we're going to be exploring this semi-open world environment, the game is at least interesting. The major problem comes down to the graphics, and the way itself, it just looks like the game is, to be perfectly honest, extremely unfinished. Now, a big inspiration for this video is actually from this tweet I saw this morning from the Act Man. Now, I believe this guy is like a big YouTuber. Honestly, I've never watched him, but I've heard he does great stuff, and he tweeted this out. I sincerely hope that these are not the graphics we'll see in the final version of Halo Infinite. I know it's a demo, but this doesn't look next gen. This doesn't look like it's being powered by the world's most powerful game console. Now, a lot of people have been making these comparisons, which is the fact that it's not that the game itself is completely pathetic in its presentation, it's that it seems like a step down from other Halos. So I started to look around, and of course there's a lot of memes. People are kind of having to make fun of the fact that Halo Infinite is so subpar. I mean, I'll be honest, even I myself am kind of laughing about this big old gorilla face. I mean, everything looks extremely low resolution if nothing else. Now, this morning I've also been rewatching a lot of the gameplay, and I do think that when it comes to just like the shooting and stuff, I don't think that the game is going to be completely awful. In fact, I'm still excited to buy and play it for myself, but after we've seen a bunch of this, I started looking at news articles, and suddenly I've become very concerned. Now, here's the biggest thing. As bad as those graphics were, as weirdly clunky as some of the ways that it had to have like pop-in and stuff, it turns out that that, in fact, was running on a PC, which means that they couldn't even get it to run on an Xbox Series X. Now, the reason that's important is because we know, because of the leaks and stuff, there were confirmed pictures of the Xbox Series X console months ago, meaning that developers have a physical, finalized version of the console itself. This is them actually working on the system, and even now, for some reason, they weren't able to get it to a running build. Now, let me look at this article here. This is over on IGN, and it says, the Halo Infinite demo debut last night. Xbox Game Showcase was a work-in-progress build running on a PC with equivalent specs to the Xbox Series X. Now, real quickly, this is actually super common. When they were working on a bunch of stuff for the PlayStation 4 and even like some stuff that's been teased for the PlayStation 5, if you ever actually talk to the people in the industry, a lot of times they say, we have to do that. We have to put it on some sort of PC that's mirroring or replicating the power of the system. It's just the only way it can be done. But here's where things get extra juicy. In an interview with Inside Gaming, Xbox marketing GM Aaron Greenberg, who's basically the voice of Xbox right now, responded to criticism about Infinite's graphics, saying, listen, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, it's July, we're far from launch and holiday, you're seeing a work in progress. It's very hard to show the full power of graphical fidelity that the Xbox Series X will be able to deliver for you over a stream. Go back and look at it in 4K, which is what I did. This is like the 4K video that they provided, and even still, the game doesn't exactly look amazing. So even the best case scenario of this is not exactly impressive. But going beyond that, something I think is really kind of important to say here is that this pandemic has only been going on for the last couple months. So I don't understand the excuse of them saying, well, the game is bad in its current format because we're just polishing it up. This game has been in development by confirmed reports for years. I mean, they've been working on this probably since the middle of 2018, maybe like later 2018. So this is 2 years of developments, and everything looks incredibly paper thin and flat. It's hard to just like blame this on the Rona when you've had so long to get it to a running state. But here, I actually think this very much reinforces my theory that the game is actually completely unfinished and very, very, very far from what we would typically consider a launch build. Halo Infinite's planned public beta testing may not happen. Wowzers. Halo Infinite's planned public program may be reduced in scope or not happen at all due to unprecedented challenges. When announced in 2018, developer 343 Industries said that it intended to run an early flighting program for Infinite in a similar way to how the community has been able to test early versions of updates to Halo the Master Chief Collection. In an update post on the Halo Waypoint blog, Halo Infinite studio head Chris Lee noted that the beta program for Halo Infinite has been changed as the studio reacts to current circumstances. Now, I want to read his statement more here in full, but this is very, very bad. And I think that this really kind of concretes the idea that Halo Infinite is not intended to be finished at launch. What I mean by that is, this seems to be one of those games that's going to come out, it's going to be playable, it's going to cost you $70 or probably have like a $200 special edition with Master Chief's helmet for a third time. But I think that the idea behind this game is kind of like what they did with No Man's Sky. Yes, it's going to launch in a very limited state, but they're planning on finishing it with update patches over the course of the next 6 months or years. Now, the reason I think that they're trying to do this is because it's actually led to a giant amount of success for other Microsoft projects. Things like Sea of Thieves. When Sea of Thieves initially came out, it wasn't exactly special. It was a gem. It tried to be unique and grab some attention, but it took over a year of updates to get Sea of Thieves to what I would consider an actual $60 purchase. I think that Microsoft realizes with Games Pass, people are going to be a lot more forgiving about their projects. Now, let me read their statement and then show you one last thing to corroborate what I'm saying here. With Halo Infinite, we're also committed to building the game in partnership with our community, but given the unprecedented challenges of this year, we're not quite where we expected to be in terms of broader public flighting, which is like their typical industry term for beta. They're trying to have like a fancy buzz way of saying it. While not the full program we had envisioned, we have been working very closely with the community on nearly every facet of the project. This to me sounds like they're already kind of preparing us for the idea that maybe the betas are going to be canceled. Now, the final thing that has me by far the most concerned is the fact that they're already trying to say this is basically going to be like Destiny. It doesn't have to be good at launch, it has to be good for years and years and years after the game comes out. Halo Infinite marks the start of 10 years of the franchise. They talk in this interview about how it's supposed to be like a spiritual reboot and going back to the roots of Halo, but this right here is where I am actually getting nervous about Halo Infinite and how it's going to play for that first couple months. That wasn't the only thing that Chris Lee had to say about Halo Infinite. According to PC Gamer, he revealed that it'll be set the tone for the next 10 years of the Halo franchise, both in the story being told and how the games themselves will be marketed. We want Infinite to grow over time versus going to those number titles and having all that segmentation that we had before. It's really about creating Halo Infinite as the start of the next 10 years of Halo and then building as we go with our fans and community. This to me sounds like games as a service. It sounds like instead of ever getting another big Halo, instead of getting a bunch of cool new sequels and fresh characters and new locations, this to me sounds like you're going to be buying Halo Infinite and only playing Halo Infinite. Do you want new content? Well, get some Halo Infinite DLC. Are you excited for the next generation of Halo? Well, time for another expansion pack. I guess I'm just upset by this because I was hoping that Halo Infinite would be a true return to form, a chance to play the games as they once were, complete experiences with a full campaign, some great co-op, and hundreds of hours of memorable multiplayer. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm still going to be buying it. I'm actually excited to do a big review on Infinite whenever it does release. I am buying an Xbox Series X. Day one, I'm still just nervous about what this game is going to turn out to be as a Halo fan. But what do you think? Have you had a chance to watch all the gameplay? Have you had a chance to be excited about this whole big thing that's going down? Or do you not really care about Microsoft? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh man. Ooh boy, beta canceled. That's not a good sign. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.